Next up is magic items and homebrew stuff. All the characters have a ton of magic items, and stock items are boring, so Jeb homebrews everything for us. So everyone has all of these powers that we shouldn't have. Um, we basically get multi-classes with um, all of our vestiges and stuff. um, So, starting with Petra, she has Vastor's amulets. Basically, Vastor's soul is trapped forever inside of his amulets. It's literally just a spiritual weapon. Um, she can summon him out of the amulets, and he pops out and attacks people. He's really big, but besides that, it's just a spiritual weapon. Um, her grimoire. It's a special wizard book. This is her vestige, I believe. She is multi-class into wizard. It allows her to cast spells at higher levels than she is able to. Since she, as a multi-class wizard, she only has access to like what second level spells or something at this point. Or if even, I think he's only a second level um wizard. He probably only has first level spells, but basically the spell book allows her to cast higher level spells, but it will cost HP, and she gets exhaustion sacked for every level of the spell that's higher than what she can cast. So if she casts like a ninth level spell, she immediately dies. But this is fine. She only has a couple, like, what is mansion? Like a sixth level spell or something? Um, but she hasn't used that too often. So it's fine. Um, she's got some whisper earrings, which allow her to talk directly to Liana at any point in time, whenever she wants, without having to cast any spells. Um, she has Living Lightning, which is her armor. It is cord armor, but it also has some Torog stuff on it. The cord parts, it holds charges and can use. She can basically use a bunch of lightning spells, like lightning bolt. Um, it's got some Torog stuff, which allows her to use blood cleric things. And she also has some chains on the arms that can grapple stuff. She has winged boots, which will allow her to fly. I think Liana is modifying them at the moment, so they'll basically be Heelys, and she'll also be a rogue, because she can like what bonus action dash and disengage, and that's I think probably. So um, and then she also has a headband of intellect, because without that she wouldn't be able to be a wizard. So her int is just 19. And she has a fancy kite shield that I don't even remember where she got it from. I think we looted it from somewhere. But she can use her reaction to have damage that is dealt to her and then reflect it back to something. She has a whole bunch of stuff. Um, Lucia is she has a bracelet, which so she is a sorcerer warlock multiclass, but her bracelet basically turns her into an Echo Knight also, which Yeah, she can summon an echo. Um, which granted, I guess it's not really that special since she's a caster. It just allows her to cast spells um from like other locations, so it's probably fine. It allows her to cast Nightfall because she's a drow, but it doesn't matter because we always forget about her sunlight thing, so she never has disadvantage even though it's sunny. Um, and then she has new possibility or like favored by the gods or something or another, which allows her to just auto pass a save that she fails. Um, yeah, her Echo Knight is, I guess, more like Invoke Duplicity than actual Echo Knight. Um, Rux has a ton of stuff. He has Torrent of the Leviathan, which is a like Arathator trident that we looted from the Sea Hag. Um, it has a bunch of water and ice spells in it that he can use in exchange for charges. He has some spell tattoos on him, so he can cast haste or mirror image once per long rest or once per short rest. Um, he just got gifted a Cloak of the Phoenix, which allows him to cast spells for charges again. Um, this one has like a whole bunch of fire spells on it, so he can use Scorching Ray, Fireball, some other stuff. And it also acts as a revive, like once per day. So if he hits 0, he comes back next turn at 1 HP, which is pretty awesome. Um, he has a Wand of Magic Missiles, which is pretty self-explanatory. He has 7 charges, so you can use Magic Missiles sometimes. Um, and then there's the dragon thing. So he's so Rux is a Lycan Order of the Lycan Blood Hunter. So he has all the standard Blood Hunter stuff, and then he has a Lycan form, so he can transform into a fox. Um, after uh, after getting the dragon arm and the dragon heart um, like fused into his body, I basically got a second transformation. So while I am already transformed into fox form, I can use my action to basically self-cast fireball on myself, but it does cold damage instead of fire damage, obviously, because Geladon was an ice dragon. In case I did not mention that before, um, I automatically failed to save, so I take max damage basically, and then I use my bonus action to transform, and then I transform from a fox into a dragon. I'm basically like a mini dragon. Um, it gives me all this crazy stuff. It gives me, let me see. I get +1 AC. I get a bite attack. All of my damage becomes cold damage, and I get a breath attack. Um, so that's super cool. But the self fireball is not the greatest. I find myself not using it more often than not because even though we have a whole bunch of ranged people, Evilier is always in the way. So, but I'm starting to be more open to using it while Evilier is in the way because he's a paladin and he has bonuses to his save, so he'll be fine. And he fears me all the time anyway, so. And besides that, there's the ISS that's coming up. Um, not the space station. Um, the spider suit. So we've got all of these crazy items that we've looted over the sessions. Boots of spider climb, grapple bracers, wand of webs, and a drider collar. So spider climbing lets you walk up walls. Grapple bracers lets you attack something at range or like grapple it and drag it to you, or like drag you towards somewhere. Um, the wand of web lets you use web, and the drider collar basically spawns these like spider legs that like try to move around. Um, Basically, with all of these, I figured why not make a Spider-Man suit, so that is going to be my next set of armor. Eventually. Um, that's that for rocks. Evelyn, who is no longer with us, she basically had a bunch of magic guns as a gunslinger. Um, so she had like a pistol, and then she had a shotgun that did fire damage. And then she also got one of the special fancy pirate guns during the last session that she was with us. Um, she had an amulet of proof against detection and location, so basically people couldn't scry on her. It's the same thing that Caleb has. Um, and she had Alexa, which was basically an Iron Man suit. She could activate and deactivate her armor. And then it had some spells on it that she could use for charges like fly and a couple other things. Um, Evilier is pretty straightforward. He has his magic weapon, Oathbringer. It's basically just spells for charges. Uh, he can use like Face Step, and I don't know if Fairy Fire is attached to his weapon or if it's a spell that he knows, but that's another thing that he can do. Um, and then he currently has the Cloak of the Bats, which allows you to transform into a bat when it's dark out. You can just fly around. Um, and Val is complicated. Uh, so Val has a Nahel bond, whatever that is. I have no idea. Um, but she has a Spren, which is a familiar, basically. Except that it doesn't have HP and it can't use the help action, but it can do checks instead of you, and it doesn't have a distance requirement unlike familiars. Um, Shard Blade allows her sprint to turn into her weapon, so it becomes a longsword, which emits light. She has Storm Light, which high storms are a thing that she can absorb energy from. She can store the energy from the storms as charges and then use the charges for storm surges. Um, this all increasingly sounds more made up the more I read about it, but I'm just not used to what her character is, and she's like entirely homebrew. So, well, I say she's entirely homebrew, but this is literally just her magical item. Like she's a full druid, but she also has all of this crazy stuff. Um, Um, so she gets surges, most of which are like mobility based or stealth based. She can move, get basically free. What is that spell? Pass without trace on herself only. She gets some healing bonus stuff. She can stabilize people, blah blah blah, just by using charges. Um, and then the bag of holding has all of this other miscellaneous um, magic items that no one specifically has, but anyone can use at any time when they need to. We have a ring of disguise, which allows you to use disguise self at will. Cloak of displacement, which I think makes one attack per round disadvantage. We have a stone of sending, so we can send messages to people. Um, we have a ring of dreams, so we can dream people. We have a whole bunch of droid parts from the droid ship, or not droid ship, the Sith ship that we found in the cave outside Persona. We have a bunch of blaster guns, which I don't know why Evelyn never used those, but I guess she likes her regular guns. Um, um, we have like enough lightsabers for everyone to have two if we wanted to. Um, and a bunch of other stuff. Rux also has a bag of colding, so we can keep food indefinitely if we want to. Um, although he usually uses it for like keeping loot from like monsters that we play. Um, I think that is actually it. Uh, yeah. So that's all the magic stuff. Hopefully our various amounts of spell casting makes more sense, despite the fact that not all of us are spellcasters.